Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Hey, and I'm sure you guys, or I hope you guys are excited about today's video. Before I start this video, I just want to let you guys know that I am not a medical professional. I am not a sleep consultant, and I am in no way a professional when it comes to sleep. I am just a mother, a first-time mom, sharing on things that worked for her and how I sleep trained my baby by 12-ish weeks. So another disclaimer, please be aware that this video is going to be jam-packed with a lot of information, so I don't know how long it's going to be. Yeah, just bear with me, and I'm going to be talking most of the time. Here's where I wanted to start. So in my Q&A, I told you guys how a lot of people told me that I wouldn't be able to sleep because obviously looking after a baby is difficult and the sleepless nights. In my research, which I started by watching a lot of YouTube videos, I found a lot of generic things which I feel like weren't really going to help me in any way. While I was watching videos, I came across a video that I felt was the most helpful. I will link that video down below. It is by Nicole Layla Green. She's a fellow mommy YouTuber. In her video, she mentioned 3 books, 2 of which I read. I didn't read the third one. You can see that in the video. And I will be speaking about the one book that really stood out for me, and it is called Baby Wise. The book has been around for a while, a really long time. I think around 95, 96, if I'm not mistaken. But I downloaded a soft copy because I don't like reading physical books, because I just hate the fact that they will have to sit in a cupboard somewhere when I'm done with them. And the book is also available on Takealot. During the shooting of this video, I saw that it was on special, but you can get it there if you want, and I will make sure to include the link in the description box below. So why sleep training? Sleep training is a very controversial thing, or at least that's what came up when I was doing research, or when I was watching videos, and in the comment section I would see people saying you shouldn't be sleep training your baby so young. Look, I really don't understand why it is such a controversial topic, because I mean, rest is essential for people to be able to function. Sleep is very important for a baby's development. Also why I really hoed down on it, but the main reason was the fact that I didn't want to go back to work and not be able to function. I have to be at work at 7 every day, which means I have to make sure that I sleep early and I wake up early. Before my maternity leave was up, I made it a point that I was gonna have given it my all to ensure that this baby at least sleeps majority of the night. But what also gave me hope was the fact that the book, Baby Wise, there's a Facebook group for mommies on there that you can also go join, where mothers speak about their experience and obviously implementing the book. Mothers ask questions there, and if they don't understand something or how to implement something, or if they've implemented what the book says but it's not working, and a lot of moms help out. I think that helped me out a lot to see a ton of women who say that their children have been sleep trained and that they sleep 12 hours a night, and that to me was just that was mind-blowing. I will mention a lot of concepts that I got from the book. The concepts that I didn't get from the book, I will let you know. Most of the concepts that I'm going to be talking about are in the book, so do yourself a favor, because the book goes into great detail. First concept that the book teaches, and even on the Facebook group they mentioned that when you first get your baby, the first thing that you need to get right, the first thing that you need to get your baby accustomed to, is full feedings. The hospital nurses or the doctors will tell you that your baby needs to eat roughly every 3 hours. I think this is just standard. Now you hear people saying, oh, my baby is not eating every 3 hours, they're waking up to eat every 2 hours or every 1 hour. They're not, you can't sleep to a schedule, these babies, blah blah blah. The problem, or what I've seen, is that the reason why your baby's probably not making it to 3 hours is because they're not getting full feedings. The book also emphasizes on this, is that Babies are very sleepy creatures by nature. Just a disclaimer, the book also talks about bottle-fed babies as well as babies who are struggling with colic and reflux, and how to help sleep training your baby if they have those things to deal with. If you are feeding your baby, we all know that babies are sleepy creatures by nature, so they will fall asleep. They tend to fall asleep on the bottle, on the boob. You need to make sure that you keep them awake, and you need to do everything you possibly can to keep them awake. So what do? You tickle them, or you put a wet cloth to help them stay awake, or you sort of blow a slight wind into their face so that they're awake. What we used to do is that I'd feed Fadzi on the one boob, and then if I see that she was dozing off, I'd stop, I'd take her out, change her diaper. That would wake her up a bit, and then I'd put her on the other boob until she would, like, obviously say she's full, which is usually when they like try to push out the nipple. Just because your baby's falling asleep on your boob or your bottle, it does not mean they are full. You need to wake them up. If you do not do that, your baby will be waking up every 30 minutes. If you put her down after she's just been eating for 10 minutes and then she wakes up again in an hour, it's because she hasn't gotten a full feeding. Focus on giving your baby full feedings. You being able to give them full feedings automatically helps you set up a routine for them. That to me was the biggest tip. If you do not take anything else out of this video, that is the biggest tip that you can take out of this. Number 2, once you have mastered number 1, which is the full feedings, number 2, you need to focus on building a routine for your baby so that your baby can end up being predictable. In the book, they talk about a type of routine that you should follow. And the routine that they talk about is a eat, wake, sleep cycle. So that is a type of routine that you will follow. It means that the baby will need to eat, the baby will need to be awake, and the baby will need to sleep. This is the sequence in which your routine should happen within that 3 hours. Remember, your baby's supposed to eat every 3 hours. Usually newborns don't have a long wake time, so don't try to keep them up for hours. Don't. Your baby will be overtired. You also need to establish a bedtime routine. What you guys do at night that will help your baby, that will help trigger your baby into saying, oh, it's night time. Let me start to unwind because it's going to be sleep time soon. Be consistent. Be consistent. Otherwise, it's pointless if you are not consistent. The third thing, which is not in the book, that I picked up after I gave birth, and I picked this up from like mom YouTubers where they used to talk about wake times, and I'm like, what is this wake times? I started following a lady on Instagram called Taking Care of Babies, which one of the YouTubers was talking about, and she was talking about wake times. I then went and googled wake times, and there they talk about how babies at certain ages should only be awake for certain minutes or hours. And that time includes the time that you are feeding them. So babies have time limits, otherwise they get overstimulated and they get overtired, and then when you have to put them down, they start screaming, they start crying because, ma'am, I am tired. Why am I still awake? Why am I not sleeping? So I knew that after eating, Fadzi will be awake for the next 10 minutes, and then I need to put her down. And literally by 10 minutes, sometimes she'd start fussing earlier and she'd want to sleep. Newborns do not tell you that they want to sleep. They will cry or start to fuss to show you that they are sleepy, that they are tired. Newborns don't do this, don't rub their eyes. My baby is 6 months now. She started rubbing her eyes at 5 months to show me that she was sleepy. So even if she wouldn't show me any signs that she wants to sleep, I would automatically take her and go put her in a cot, and she'd usually fall asleep. Now that you can give your baby full feedings, your baby is on a routine, what you need to know is that you need to cap your naps to 2 hours max. It means that at a time, your baby should not sleep more than 2 hours during the day. Otherwise, they start eating away at time in the evening, and that's how they start confusing, is it day, is it night? If you let your baby sleep 3 hours or 4 hours, you need to wake your baby up. So after 2 hours of sleeping and she's not awake, I will go and wake her up. Fuzzy never had confusions with night and day, so cap naps to 2 hours. Okay, now that your baby is having full feedings, your baby is following a routine, your baby is napping 2 hours, boom, comes something called the 45-minute intruder. This is in the book. In the book, they don't say what 45-minute intruder is. They just tell you that your baby just starts waking up 45 minutes after you've put them down for their nap. Obviously, because I'm using the app that I spoke about in the Q&A, I'll talk about it later in this video as well. I started noticing that she was waking up literally every 45 minutes. So I started reading and finding out why. It must mean something. It's not just something that happens. So there's another book that I was reading, which I won't mention because it's like a really lengthy book and it's very scientific. It's written by, I think it's a psychologist or a pediatrician, but they talk about in that book, which also clicked, is that baby sleep cycles are every 45 minutes. It means that their sleep cycles are like, it's like a wave where you go into light sleep, you go into deep sleep, and then you go into light sleep so that you can wake up. That is the sleep cycle. And usually when they wake up at that 45 minutes, they start crying. So if you are not aware of the fact that babies have sleep cycles of 45 minutes, which I didn't know, and it kept bothering me, and until I read that book, it made sense. I was like, oh, that's why she wakes up crying, but she's not really awake. If your baby wakes up after 45 minutes of you putting her down, and it's not going to be 45 minutes on the dot every time, it's going to be maybe at 30 minutes, maybe at 35, but you just need to be aware. So what I would do is that if she would wake up crying for her nap, I would leave her usually for 10 minutes and she would usually go back to sleep. If she doesn't go back to sleep and she continues crying after 10 minutes, I will go in and check on her. And if she still has her eyes closed, I would usually leave her, and maybe it's just taking her longer to get into the next sleep cycle. Or if she continues crying, maybe say I wait an extra 2 minutes and she starts screaming, then I know that no, this is no longer about sleep. She probably needs to be changed, or yeah, usually it would be because she pooped. Then I'd check her, I would change her, and then put her back down to sleep. In the book, they tell you that just be aware of it. Just don't go in immediately. Some babies go back to sleep after 5 minutes. You cap it up to what you feel comfortable as a mother. I can't tell you that wait for 10 minutes. I felt comfortable with 10 minutes, and in that 10 minutes, I wasn't just sitting like doing nothing. I was busy with stuff to keep me busy, but I'd have a timer on, and when my timer went off, I'd be like, okay, she seems like she's falling asleep, or she seems like she's escalated her cry, then let me just go check on her. So yeah, that's something that you need to be mindful of. The next thing, which may touch a nerve, this may touch a nerve for some people, maybe triggering, maybe this is not your type of parenting, but this is also something that I felt like was very instrumental in us being able to sleep train her, is to help her, to give her the tools to be an independent sleeper, to be able to put herself to sleep. It meant that we had to remove stumbling blocks. And what are stumbling blocks? Pacifiers, rocking your baby, putting your baby on your back, which I know most black people believe in, which is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if you need to do that every time for your baby to fall asleep, it's a crutch. Anything that you need to do so that your baby can fall asleep when you are there with them physically, it is a crutch. With the pacifier, I know you can't sleep train a baby when they're busy with pacifiers. Why I don't like it personally is that every time we used to put it in her mouth, she'd eventually spit it out and then she'd start crying because it was out, and I'd have to keep going in to put it back in. And I said, no, we're eliminating this. This is going to be a problem. we didn't want to start stuff that we could not maintain, that we couldn't sustain in the long run. I didn't want to have to lie down on the floor next to the baby for her to be able to sleep. I didn't want to have to get inside the cot with her. I didn't want to have to rock her to sleep. I didn't want to have to put her on my back. I didn't want to have to give her the pacifier. I didn't want to have to put her on a rocker. I mean, nowadays they even make those bassinets that, you know, that shake the baby for you. I didn't want to have to buy that because that is so unsustainable. And my thing is that the baby's gonna cry at some point because you're gonna have to wean them off of all those things, and when you do, it's going to be longer than 10 minutes. So I didn't want to, you know, have to also go through the stage of weaning her off of those things. And if those things work for you and they help your baby to sleep, that is fine. I just didn't have to want to be dependent on it. Again, babies take what you give them. So if I didn't teach my baby rocking, she's not gonna cry for it. If I didn't teach my baby to sleep while the thing is shaking, she's not gonna cry for it. So that's the approach that we had, and I felt like was more sustaining. And the fact that if she in the middle of the night woke up, which happens a lot, then she's still able to put us back to sleep, and I don't have to start that cycle again of rocking her, of, you know, doing all sorts of tricks to help your baby fall asleep. Literally what we did was that, and we started this I think a week in after she was born. What we did was that anytime she'd fall asleep, we'd put her down and walk away, and she would fall asleep. There was a time obviously where she cried, like she screamed, cried. Even I was like, oh my gosh, my baby. What I had to tell myself as a mother first is that babies cry for everything. Babies cry when they've pooped, they pee, they need to eat, they're overtired, they need to fall asleep, they cry for everything. That's what I was telling myself, is that look, she needs to sleep. She's gonna cry, she's tired, she needs to sleep. The first time I told myself 10 minutes is my cap, and at 8 minutes, she fell asleep. What I'm saying is that will be the difficult part, to just literally put your baby down and walk away. And it takes consistency and it takes practice. It was not natural to do that, and it was not easy, but eventually she learned how to self-soothe. For me personally, this is better than waiting when she's 9 months old to sleep train her and she starts screaming for the next 20 minutes or for the next hour. And like I always say, there's a difference between screaming and crying. It's like scream crying than like just crying. And you start to learn your baby's cries, and you start I forgot to mention this also during the routine. The routine section is that make sure that your baby wakes up at a certain time and sleeps at a certain time. They will get used to, that's how they also get used to saying, I shouldn't be awake at this time. Literally at 7 p.m. Fadzi will start getting fussy and rubbing her eyes and doing all sorts of things because she knows that she's supposed to be sleeping. She's been falling asleep at 7 since she was like 1 month old, because we weren't consistent with it for the like first month. Even though we knew that she would wake up like at 11 to eat or at 1, even though we knew that she'd wake up in the middle of the night, we just got her accustomed to sleeping at 7 and waking up at 7. It doesn't. And then the last thing that I want to mention, it is the app. I will screen record this and show you guys. There are many apps on the market that you can use. I don't know what other alternatives you can use, because this is one that our friend recommended to us. So I'm gonna go here where it says 6 months 29 days. That's how old she is. So I want to go to old records. This is how nice this thing is. You can go back to old records, guys. Let's go to like the 28th of Jan. This is when she had just turned 3 months. I want to show you guys the day and how we go about it. On the 28th in the morning at 1 o'clock, she woke up and she had a left boob and a right boob, and I fed her for 10 minutes. So when she'd wake up in the middle of the night, I would not give her like full feedings, just so she doesn't get used to eating in the middle of the night. She knows that all her calories she needs to be able to take in during the day. And then she went back to sleep, at 01:17, and she woke up at 06:40, which is around 7 o'clock, which is her bedtime, I mean her wake up time. As you can see, she naturally woke up and she slept at 5 hours. Then we changed her, I gave her some boobs, and then she went to sleep from 07:44 to 09:32. She was asleep for 1 hour 48 minutes. And then when she woke up again, I fed her. She'd take a nap 07:44, and she'd wake up, and then I'd feed her again. And then around 10:42 she took another nap for 1 hour 48 minutes. And then when she woke up, I fed her pumped milk. I used to pump my milk and store it. Changed her pee, and then she slept another 1.5 hours. So you can see this thing I was telling you about, 2 hour naps. We fed her again, and then we'd play with her a while, and then you see she went to sleep at 7:30, and she woke up at 05:58, and that shows that she slept for 10 hours in the evening that day. And before we picked her up, we let her cry for like 10 minutes. Let me see if we can't see another day quickly. Let me pick a day in Feb. I was going back to work on the 15th. So let's just say 1 Feb. I want to see what had happened here. So that day she slept at 8. Actually, don't know why she slept at 8 that day. Who knows? And she had slept at 8 and woke up at 5, and that was almost 9 hours of sleep. That's why she woke up that day, because she went, you see, you can even add doctor's checkups, guys. She had an immunization that day. That's probably why she was having issues with sleep that day. Let's see. The 30th of Jan, she had 11 hours of sleep. So you can get yourself whatever app that you can get to document your journey, so that you can be able to go back. I personally love this baby time one. I don't know how other apps work because I've never tried them. And the last thing that I want you guys to know, to take from this video, is that it is not straightforward. It is a journey. There is stuff that you'll get right and stuff that you will not get wrong. But as long as you're open to learning, as long as you are positive, you will definitely succeed. Do not go in this with like a negative mentality. And even with this book, I definitely recommend that you get this book. That is it for the video, guys. That's how I sleep train my baby to sleep roughly 10 hours at night by 3 weeks. But above all, I really hope that this video was very helpful. But I really hope this can help you on your sleep training journey. And remember, it's not a straight line. Some things will work, some things won't work. And the one thing that I suggest is that please read the book before you join the group. Otherwise, some terms will confuse you, and because they use abbreviations and stuff, and you won't know them unless you've read the book. So please read the book first before you join the Facebook group. That is it for today's video. I love you guys, and thank you so much for supporting my channel, and I will see you guys in the next one.